Welcome back. The National Urban League is an historic civil rights organization dedicated to economic empowerment among African Americans. The National Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts is an affiliate of the National League, is in existence also for over 90 years. Their work towards providing vital resources to the community allows them to focus on jobs, education, and social reform. This year's annual conference is called Jobs Rebuild America. It's being held right here in Boston. Throughout the conference weekend, unique opportunities for professional urban entrepreneurs and job seekers will be available. Darnell is the president and CEO of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts and joins us today. 3 years in the planning. It's finally here.
It is, Karen, and thank you for allowing me to be here with you. And it's just been a labor of love, a lot of moving parts, a lot of negotiations, putting things in place, but really putting Boston first and foremost where it rightfully should be, and changing the image and perception of Boston that many people across the country still reside or have an indelible impression that Boston is this toxic place and ethnic neighborhoods that really are not embracing or warming, or we have the reputation of being rather cold New Englanders when it comes to greetings. And so our challenge is really to help people dispel that myth and to change and alter that image that Boston is in fact a city of a walking city, but a city welcoming to minorities.
That's been a very important factor for you and the national organization in terms of planning this event to be a part of changing the perception of Boston, hasn't it?
It has been. I think when you think about conferences come and go, and when we sat there, we started to think about what can we do to really galvanize the city? How do we bring the corporations and the elected officials and the community and the vendors, and how do we get them to be galvanized, focusing on one particular issue? And that was what rose to the top. We put together a game plan to engage all of the various stakeholders and made room under the tent for everybody to take an ownership part of it. Because, I mean, obviously one person can't do it.
Sure, sure. But, and it's going to be an exciting week. I know you have lots of things planned, but the theme, as we said in the open, Jobs Rebuild America.
Yes.
Tell us the philosophy of the Urban League in terms of adopting that and how you plan to execute that throughout the week.
Great question. The reason that we adopted Jobs Rebuild is that if you look at urban America, rural America, and even suburban America, across this nation, both blacks and whites and Latinos are significantly unemployed or either underemployed. And so if we want to make a difference in terms of quality of life, economic engagement, and empowerment, regardless of the sector or the segment of the community, we believe that the job is the best program going. The unemployment rate across the nation is around 9%, but when you look in the urban areas or where African Americans primarily reside, that number is around 16.5%, and it's probably around 17% for Latinos. And so between the two primary residents within the urban area, that unemployment rate is so staggeringly challenging. And coming on the heels of the Great Recession, we know that we're still trying to find our way out of this economic abyss. And so it's really challenging for a country. So our 12-point putting America back to work is not just focusing on black people or Latinos. We want to look at what do we need to do to put America back to work.
What are some of the top points in that 12 points? I know you can't explain them all.
Well, you got to focus on where are the jobs, where are the growth sectors. Find out what can we do to put people into that. Many of the corporations are transferring a lot of their operations across the seas and across the borders. We understand profit margins, but yet you need to have people to buy your product and services. So what can we do to build a farm team here locally, focusing on those kind of sectors? Second thing we want to do is make sure that the skill sets in the educational level, pipeline for STEM, for science, technology, engineering, and math for our young people. It's never too early to start focusing on that so that they will be ready for the marketplace when they're coming into the pipeline.
And I know that the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts has a very robust jobs training program here.
Yes, we believe that a placement-based model is far more important. What does that mean? We try to line up with employers on the front side. They work with us to develop the curriculum. So when we train people from the urban area, we tell them two things. One, this will reduce your turnover costs. 2, you have an opportunity to screen the candidates. 3, you're involved in developing the program. So you can't say you trained them and we don't know what they've been trained. So we give you a chance to be engaged in that. And then you have an opportunity to get first crack at the candidates at the end of of the training cycle. We consider that a win-win.
Now, not only are we embroiled in a heat wave here in the country, on Capitol Hill, there's been a lot of heated discussion about surrounding how we're going to manage this debt ceiling question. Is there a position that the Urban League takes in terms of what's going on in Washington?
Oh, absolutely. I think that when we look at government and its role, we have to think about children. We have to think about the elderly and those who are homeless or disabled community. All of those are various important components of our society, and we believe the government should be there to respond and to help those individuals when they need government to help them leg up. Doesn't mean I want them to be embedded or dependent upon the government forever, but if there's a time where we need them, this is the time to the government, especially with the economy coming out of the Great Recession. Everybody's on Beacon Hill is talking about, or Capitol Hill is talking about, smaller government. But smaller government does not mean abandoning the people.
And so you're suggesting, as well as the Urban League, don't cut back those social safety net programs.
Well, they can't. I think it's the balance between domestic and military. And I think domestic has been suffering because of our military agenda. And we need to find a better balance. The people, infrastructure in America needs to be the top priority.
Well, we hope Bostonians will turn out and support the National Urban League Conference, which begins here in Boston on July 27th. Great work. I know you've been doing a lot of planning, and the time is here. You'll see me down there next week, too.
Well, that's going to be, we're looking forward to having you there.
All right. Everybody, the National Urban League Conference begins July 27th, runs through the 30th. You can learn more about everything on our program today, as well as the National Urban League Conference, by going to our page on thebostonchannel.com, or find us on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Stay cool.